Hello, my name is Kaylee and I'm an occupational therapy student. Today I'll be walking you through a treatment session for my client Chris. Chris is a 64-year-old male with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, otherwise known as COPD. Chris has been diagnosed with COPD for 8 years now. However, on March 12th, Chris had an exacerbation of his COPD, which resulted in a 5-day hospital stay admittance. After that, he was discharged to my skilled nursing facility where I evaluated him yesterday. He complained of shortness of breath, fatigue, and just kind of wanting to go home to take care of his plants. Prior to his diagnosis, he was an avid gardener and he really values working with his hands. So today I will see Chris for a 40-minute occupational therapy treatment session focusing on education of adaptive equipment that will help him be more efficient in his dressing, activity modification, and some energy conservation techniques while doing an activity. Once Chris is out of his robe, we will put on his jacket. Like I said, we'll put on his socks using a sock aid. This will help him with the leaning over, shortness of breath, and the fatigue that can bring. We'll also give him a long-handled shoehorn that will also help him with the bending and putting on his shoes. I also will teach him an adaptive technique to bring his leg up to him while he is putting on his shoes to help reduce some energy expenditure. After that, we will get him up and moving and we'll go and do a gardening styled activity. It'll be an at-home activity that he could do to also help reduce energy expenditure moving in and out of his house a bunch if he wanted to have maybe a day bed in his home for his gardening. We will also talk about some positionings that he can use for energy conservation if he gets tired during any activity or any task. Hi, Mr. Chris. I see that you are up and in bed. That is great. I heard also that you are going to go into the garden today to work a little bit on your gardening stuff, which is awesome. I'm here today just to help you out to get ready and make sure that we can go and garden without fatiguing you too much, because I know that is a difficulty that you have with your COPD. So how does that sound?
Sounds good.
Awesome. So I see that you have your robe on. What we want to do is probably first take that off and maybe hang it up in your closet. Are you able to do that?
I think so.
Good. Yes. Making sure that you lean on here is a good call. Do you need a gate belt behind? Okay. I'm going to go into your closet. Go ahead and open that door for me. Is that struggling a little bit? How is that?
It's heavy.
It is heavy. What we can do is maybe if you're going to stay here for a little bit longer, we can maybe leave these open, or we could have them turned into curtains so that it would be easier for you to open, and that would be one way to save your energy. Also with your closet, I see that there's a lot of things in it, which is great. You can sit back down. Yeah, grab your jacket. Yep. Great. All right. Go ahead and sit. Awesome. And we'll just lay this right next to you. How are you feeling? Are you tired from
A
doing
little
that?
winded.
Chris noticed that he was fatigued, so we took a break and used the technique known as diaphragmatic breathing that I taught him yesterday for when he is short of breath. I want you to put your hand on your belly right here and one on your chest. And we're going to do 3 deep breaths. You're going to breathe in, feel your chest rise, and then breathe out and feel your tummy expand. Good. 2 more. And last one. Good. All right. Do you feel better? All right, Mr. Chris. So now we have your jacket over here and your shoes on the ground, which is awesome. That'll help save you a lot of time and energy when you're getting dressed to lay everything out beforehand. Do you think you're able to put your jacket on today?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see how that works. Since Chris is standby assist for all of his dressing, I was able to watch and observe and make sure that he was able to manage his clothing without fatigue. Great, cool. So now what we need next is your shoes. And so what we're going to do is, I see that you already have socks on, but I did want to show you this handy device. Does putting on your socks make you a little tired?
Yeah, I mean the bending over and then coming back up.
Yeah, for
Trying
sure.
to get over my toes.
For sure. So this is going to be a really helpful device. This is a sock aid that Chris can use to help put on his socks with less effort. I'll show you how to use it first. It goes on your socks. So you'll take the sock, you'll stretch it over just like this. Squish it all up just until the toe comes all the way to the top. And then you hold on to these 2 handles. You lay it on the ground and you slide your foot through. And you keep pulling until the sock comes off. Do you want to just try it over your socks now?
Sure.
so the sock's already on there. Great. Yep, and then just slide, and then pull with your arms. Pull hard. There you go. How was that?
Pretty nifty.
Pretty nifty. I think it's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of energy. I then showed him an adaptive position that he can use to take on and off his socks as well, without bending over or falling off the bed. This would help Chris save a lot of energy as well. I then educated Chris on this long-handled shoe horn and had him practice putting on his own shoes with less energy. I first set up his shoes in front of him so that he would easily be able to see how the adaptive equipment could be used. I demonstrated on my shoe first, and then I let him try. We did a couple of rounds of practice, however this did fatigue him a little bit. We did have to take a rest break before continuing on with our therapy session. Once we got down to the therapy gym, I educated the client on recovery positions that he could use during a task that required a lot of standing and energy expenditure. He demonstrated each and identified that he would be able to use these very often. We then used this gardening occupational therapy kit to focus on fine motor, gross motor activity tolerance with Chris today. Chris was able to stand and complete 6 minutes of the task without needing a rest. Once he needed a rest break, Chris used one of the recovery positions that we learned earlier in this therapy session to recover. From there, he completed the rest of the task seated. The total task time took about 15 minutes. Once our activity was completed and our treatment session was almost up, I took Chris back up to his room where we cooled down with some diaphragmatic breathing and discussion about what to expect for the next session. I left Chris in his seated comfy chair and placed his new adaptive equipment next to his bedside.